Welcome to the Not So Random podcast. Welcome back, episode 3.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. I don't even know what song that is. I like it.
Is it Hat Day?
Is it? Sure is.
It is Hat Day.
Listen, my hats, I have a lot of hats hanging. Like I own a lot, so
I love hats.
You might
short hair, don't care.
Yeah, see, that's different though. Like you have short hair, so it's
Well, you have big hair,
I
don't
feel like
care.
her head is shaped perfectly for a hat. Mine is just
Sure thing. Well, so what are we doing here today?
today. Today, we're just gonna kind of talk about a few things that I want to ask E-Star some questions about her testimony that you saw, right? You saw them? Did you see that? I know you saw it.
Unrehearsed, raw, uncut.
It was.
We thought it'd be best.
I thought it was great.
It'd be best to do it that way. So forgive me if it came across a little choppy, but yeah.
She did great. She did great.
There's some things that we're missing that we'll talk about. So
yeah, yes. So if you haven't seen it, it's gonna be in the comment section below, or in the box section below, whichever one. But it's only 3 episodes, so it's not gonna be hard to find. All right. So I do have some questions for you, sister.
Okay.
Because I know there's some connecting of the dots you about to do. I had a question though, because I like watching dialogues a lot, like debates and things like that. I feel like apologetics is something that I might go into. That's how much I'm into it. And it's scary because like people are scary. There's some people who are just mean.
Okay.
And I don't want them, to bring my thuggish out, but it's all right.
Oh, boy.
No, look. All right.
I'll
So
do
I
that
do
then.
have a question. I have it right here. Look, see.
Mm-hmm.
How was your experience when you went to the imam? I'm curious.
Oh, to visit the imam. I never told you that, I guess.
No, you didn't, and it's I don't know.
But you also were a lot younger when that stuff was happening.
I was a baby. Not really.
No, not. Come on. I'm pretty young myself, but
young-minded. That's
that was it's something I didn't talk about. That was just something, a one-time meeting that I went to with my living boyfriend at the time. He had begged me to go. I think, like I mentioned, he had gone into Islam, right? Mm-hmm. And I forgot how many months, maybe 6 months, I'm not sure, before the breakup. And he begged me to go talk to this imam about just what marriage looks like and is through Islam and things like that. And I hadn't even gotten a proposal or anything like that. So it was a really weird thing. But after some time of the begging, then I went. I went ahead, and what I recall, we went into a mosque or temple, mm-hmm. and the imam, which is similar to what some would call a priest, I believe. We sat across the desk from him, and he just sort of explain how things would work, like a ceremony and things like that. And honestly, I knew in my heart and mind that I didn't want any of this. Like I just didn't want that.
What ceremony?
Like marriage, like wedding. What that would be like? Well, yeah, through Islam. Oh. So I can't remember all the details, but I did go, and he sort of explained some things, and then we left. That was really it. And I can't even remember the conversation we had after, but clearly it didn't happen. So it was something that I wasn't. That's okay.
Because I've heard about it. Like they're like, they're like equivalent to like what a pastor might be. But I'm like, and I know that there's a lot of
their version of a priest, and forgive me to any Muslims out there if I got that wrong, but that's what I recall. I actually almost forgot that until testimony time came up to talk about my experience. I actually almost forgot that I did visit an imam just to please the other party, right, the partner, and so it was a one-time thing.
Go through with it.
I did.
I'm glad.
I did, yeah.
All right, so then immediately after that, like I know that before that you were going through other things too. So what happened after, or maybe during, or like was there anything that you were going through in your mind, even like after that visit with the imam, because which is crazy because they're talking about marriage and y'all was just boyfriend and girlfriend. That was commitment before the commitment is crazy. Like, sorry.
He did want to marry me, but by that time it was through that route, through that way. And so, yeah, I wasn't with the Lord or anything at that time, but like I said, I did want to stay. I wanted to be secular, and God had another plan. And sometimes you have to get squeezed in life to come to the realization of things.
That's for sure.
And that was, and more than once probably, that's been
if you never felt
especially when you've had a rebellious kind of lifestyle and all that. So that was my experience. There was another big component that I left out that I didn't bring up, right? One, I kind of forgot, but two, it's a big deal. It's sort of a bigger topic, like that till this day, what's kept me with the Lord. So another thing about that time, that I knew that my living boyfriend was also a Freemason, right? So I didn't find out.
That.
Yeah, so I didn't find out until way after we were together. We had been together a number of years, and I had no idea about Freemasonry. So I was a nightclub girl doing a lot of what. Even when we met, it was at a nightclub, and so it was caught up in a bunch of worldliness, debauchery, things like that, and drunkenness and all of that. And so I was really naive and really not in the know about a lot of how the world works, right? Behind the scenes. Actually, a lot of people live their lives that way. And I think I mentioned that in a different context before. So learning that he was a Freemason, and for a while it wasn't like a big deal, but then things started happening. Like I'd gone to an event. It was like a Freemason dinner event, like this long table with like 50 to 100 people. I remember something like that. Yeah, I've had some experiences. And so after that, it piqued my interest to find out more. This was about right before or about the time that maybe he got into Islam. And so I started digging into that, and then I started asking questions, asking him questions that he claimed he couldn't answer. And then I started digging deep into Freemasonry. All of this happened around the same time. So that's sort of why, one, I forgot to mention it the last time, but it's also kind of like a beast of a conversation, right?
It really is. I'm glad you did it. That would have been like
it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. But I mean, to sum it up, learning about Freemasonry at the root of it, like what it's really about. There are a lot of Christians that are Freemasons, or the female version is Eastern Star, and they don't realize so until you get to like the 33rd degree and what it really means and who you're really worshiping, or who you're really committed to.
And the 33rd degree is the highest.
Right? That's deep satanic worship. It's like deep, Luciferian.
At that point,
it is.
They know.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, there are books out on this and stuff. We're not going to go deep into these things today, but it's to give an overview. So I started digging into Freemasonry, and that led me into. This is about the same time that everything was happening with the Islam, and then me coming to go into a church to get prayer. And things, and my view starting to change, and going through a breakup. And then I was sort of digging into this Freemasonry world and learning a lot about that. That led me also to learning about the governments of the world, including the U.S. government, organizations or organizations with a front, like such as the Club of Rome, and it's just a lot of different things, books. And I started digging deep into these things. Two that I'll mention that were serious game changers for me was a Christian-based site too, called cuttingedge.org.
I remember that.
Completely changed my goodness.
I remember you talking about that, and I looked it up myself, and I was
I'm not quite on it, because they sort of went really out there, Jesus helps you rein it in. You know what I mean? He helps you rein it in. You don't need to go exploring every single thing and every single theory or conspiracy.
That's how you mess up.
He'll rein things in, because there's certain seasons of your life that he'll want you to know certain things. And it's too much. It's just way too much. It's a rabbit hole that never ends. So cuttingedge.org is a Christian-based site that really taught me a lot. I learned about everything starting from the Freemasonry to like weather modification and all types of stuff. Learned Elders of Zion, all these things that were like occultic based. And so those things together with a book that I do highly recommend by William Cooper, who no longer is living, and it's called Behold a Pale Horse. Completely turned everything around for me as far as how I viewed how the world works. Now, people can say whatever they want about William Cooper. Some people said he was a Christian. I personally don't think he was. But I'll tell you this, he had receipts.
He had
receipts.
The pages. We have the book, but
I have
the pages were copies of receipts.
Yeah, and he was deep military, deep intelligence. And so he went in not understanding or not knowing, and then he learned along the way. And so he wrote a book about it, and his life was taken for that. So something you guys can look up on your own. So those two things were like really big for me. I still have that book because when 2020 came around, certain things triggered that I remembered that I learned from that book. I mean, when I say he has receipts are documents, patents from the U.S. government, world governments about plans for your life, plans for the people. And guess what? So then God opened up this whole world for me where I then, which is another big part of my testimony till this day, from 2010 till this day, I study and I love prophecy, Bible prophecy. Literally the pages of the Bible, at least a third is made up of prophecy. And these books and these sites and certain resources really went hand in hand with what the Bible talks about. And so for the first time in my life, I was able to connect. I was able to connect real life, like real physical life, with the Bible. And that's a problem that a lot of people have, where they can't see Jesus, they can't see, so-called religion or Christianity being truth or relating to them, or they can't see it in the real world. But it's there. It's all there. For example, I'll give you one example. So Revelation 11:18, right? So there's a lot happening in the world right now. We're gonna keep this brief, but as we're guided and as the feedback comes in, we'll know kind of the direction to go in. All we're looking to do is point in the direction of, and then you ask the Lord, you ask God where you should go, what He wants you to know, and what you need to know in your life at this time. A lot of things that everybody should know at this time. But anyway, let me get to it. So one of the things, for example, that I learned from my digging into Freemasonry during the same time all this stuff was happening in my life, that was part of that burden. I felt that boulder. And it was, when I mean demonic oppression or demonic presence, was literally that, because when you're getting close to truth, or you're trying to get close to, prayer, or the people that can help you, right? The enemy doesn't like that, right? Doesn't like that. And so it's sort of like this tactic to pull you into darkness, to pull you and keep you there into darkness, especially when you're coming close to truth. And so I'll give you an example of what I mean, where God was connecting the dots for me from the very beginning in real life, real time, sort of like real physical life stuff and the Bible. All right, so I'm going to read here Revelation 11:18. The nations were angry, and your wrath has come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that you should reward your servants, the prophets and the saints, and those who fear your name, small and great, and should destroy those who destroy the earth. This is to come, right? So I'm speaking to the believer and the non-believer, right? So whoever you are out there, Book of Revelation is the last book of the Bible. It's a book of prophecy. At least a third of the Bible is prophecy. And so I'm really passionate about prophecy because that's what really took a hold of me. And it's I would say one of my specialties in a way. Like I love prophecy. I'm not scared of it. Matter of fact, when I started reading the Bible, when I did come to the Lord, one of the first books I read was the Book of Revelation, because I went right to the end. I said,
not me.
Well, I want to know.
I was scared. I was like, I don't think I want to know the end. I'm good.
I was like, well, I want to know. Because, a lot of stuff was happening in my life and I was learning a lot. Right. So in that verse, that last part of it, verse 18, Revelation 11:18, it says, and should destroy, and those who fear your name, small and great, and should destroy those who destroy the earth. Okay. Who's destroying the earth? someone is destroying the earth, right? That's what this is telling us here. Someone's destroying the earth. So hence I started, I used the wrong word there. I started learning from cuttingedge.org and some of these other resources and these readings that these things that I was reading about. And it all started with learning about Freemasonry, which started because my live-in boyfriend was a Freemason in addition to joining Islam for a time. Now that verse brought alive and connected me learning about weather modifications, which is it's so easy. Like now, it's evident.
Oh
in the
yeah,
skies.
you see it.
That's just a part of it. We're talking about weather modifications, destroying the earth, the things that are happening, climate control, and all of these different things that have to do anything having to do with destroying the earth. And people are like, oh well, what's happening out here? Well, the Bible says that God is going to destroy those who destroy the earth. So clearly someone is destroying the earth.
Clearly.
And there are other verses in the Bible to back this up. But that's just an example of how the Bible connected me to help me connect, I should say, to what was happening around me in the physical world. And that's been a journey since 2010, I would say. Till this very day, and it's only become more amazing because the Bible says that when you're in the Lord, the idea is you I forget which verse, but we go from glory to glory, and that also means gaining knowledge, but from the Lord, right? From God's side, what He determines that we should know, and so that was a big part of my testimony, and that's what keeps me with the Lord. Till this day, being able to actually the Bible, knowing that the Bible is so real and that it applies to the world now. Final verse, Ecclesiastes 3:15. I got to do it, sis. I got to do it, okay? Ecclesiastes 3:15. Let me see. I want to read this to y'all real quick.
This gets me hyped. I'll be like, go.
Ecclesiastes 3:15. Just something to keep in mind. This I read over this many times, but it was in recent times really pressed on me, and I sort of had skipped over it, and now I'm like it's just popping out at me. So Ecclesiastes 3:15 says, "That which is has already been, and what is to be has already been, and God requires an account of what is past." So that which is has already been. That which is to be, future, has already been. And God requires an account of what is past, meaning He's going to require you to do the necessary thing to deal with that based on what the Word says. And I'll leave it at that. Nothing new under the sun, right? And that came from Solomon, who was the wisest man, who also turned from God for
There's nothing new. We recycle everything. I don't know if you even see like the archaeologists are finding that some of the buildings that they found, like Egyptian buildings, or even places around the world in Rome and all these different places that can create their own energies and stuff like that. And they were like, they thought they were really dumb back then and they didn't have all those tools. Like, how did you build the pyramids and all these other things?
It's all just happening again, yeah.
It's just happening again.
So that is pretty much the sort of the conclusion, the overview conclusion of my testimony. That part of it, wanted to make sure I got that in to let people know that this is what I love Bible prophecy, and to see it play out and to see people think, even those that are like the scholars think they've got it figured out. God's not. No one's like, it's unfolding. It's not. A lot of it's not what people think.
Usually when it's like,
we got to lean on God.
We think we know exactly what it is, and God be like, no, it's not.
Yeah, it might. Yeah. So it's a fascinating time. So that's part of my testimony, and I thank God. And I mean, there are other things I can talk about, but I'll leave it at that for today.
I do want to say there's a lot of with all of that, there's a lot of exposing that's happening, and a lot of exposing that's happening, if I could say, just in the church. And thank God for that, because growing up, I've seen so many false prophets. I've seen so many false teachers. I've heard so many false teachers. And as a young girl, not knowing fully of the word, but I had the Spirit of God. That's just in the testimony that I will give. I knew, like the witness in me knew who they were. I cannot explain it, now I could kind of, but that will be for my testimony. But it's just one of those things that's just like, how do I know that? But God will be exposing a lot more than what people think. Oh, God is exposing now. No, there's a lot more. It's going to be a lot bigger than what is being done now.
And that's appropriate for you to.
Which one? Which one is this one? Matthew 24, verse 4. And Jesus answered and said to them, take heed that no one deceives you. And my goodness, I love this Bible verse. And I think this is said
a lot of times
so many times. Yes, this is so many times. And even the one that is like, do not be afraid. It said 365 times in the Bible. You could take one of those Bible verses, do not be afraid, for every single day of your life. Anyway, but I want to talk about this vision that I had. And this was a few years ago. And I was praying to the Lord. And I was...
Can you tell the people what a vision is?
Oh, yes.
Or an idea of what...
Okay. For those who don't know what a vision is, I'm sorry. This is on YouTube. I forgot. Okay.
It's not because of that.
No, but I forget that I'm talking to people of God who would know this, but I understand that this is also going to be out there for other people who may not know this. So a vision is something, it's a gift, right?
It's an experience.
It's definitely an experience. Okay. The way that it happens with me is I could be at work. This happens a lot. I could be at work and I am instantly transported somewhere. I'm in the place. I know where I'm at. I'm at work. But I cannot do what I'm doing because I'm seeing something like that. That's the best way that I could explain it. That's how it happens to me. So but I was praying and I was on the ground. And before I was going to pray for the leaders of this world, because I was just reading the Bible verse, you are to pray for your leaders and your kings and all these people. I'm going to put that up somewhere here. I was like, you know what? I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that. I'm going to try something new here. And I sat there and I was just like, I was really upset about something that happened. And I don't want to really mention it exactly because I don't want to talk about politics. But I sat there and I said, God, I got a few questions about this one political person. And I started asking him questions. But before the question came out of my mouth, he answered it. Like he just threw it right back at me. He's like, well, how about you? And how about you guys that do this? And I'm just like, and then I stopped, right? I gave some silence because I was like, I'm never going to question the Lord again. One day I will tell you in full detail what that was. And the Lord lets. But I lifted up my eyes. It was dark in my room. And I had a vision. It was dark, but I saw this vision of a leg. It was like right above the knee to the foot. And the closer it got to me, because it was kind of like zooming in, it looked like there was something wrong with it. Like there was something in the calf. Like it was just big. Like there was something moving. The closer it got, it was like something was moving. And this political man that I was talking about had a knife and slashed it open. This sounds graphic. I'm sorry.
That's gross.
And slashed it open. And I saw it as if it was right in front of me, how opened up this calf meat. And it was it was like jam-packed with maggots. Jam-packed with maggots. They were healthy maggots, if that makes sense. Like they were eating for a while. And then there was blood, but there wasn't that much blood. But the blood that there was seeping through was like rich. How do I say it? Like
I think you've done well.
Almost like sanctified. Can I holy and sanctified.
Goodness.
Amen. Hallelujah. Like clean.
That's intense. Clean
blood, right? And I saw that and I'm just like, Lord, what am I looking at? Because I thought this. I didn't say anything. But it was like, he goes, this is what my church looks like right now. And I'm going to expose it and everyone in it. There are so many people sitting in my church who call themselves my children, who are not feeding off of me. They are false. They're imposters. And they're sitting there, and then the blood signified the real, true children of God. And the thing is that when I found that out, when he revealed that to me, there wasn't a lot of blood. I cried so much. I cried so much because I was like, that's not a lot. If that was how many if that was how many children of God was there, we're in trouble. We are really in trouble. And I just saw, he's like, they're just feeding. They're feeding off of my true people, my true children. And they've been sitting there for a long time. The first shall be last and the last shall be first, is what comes to mind. And I think about that today, and I'm just like I can't wait, because he said, he's like, I will expose them. I will expose every last one of them. And you know what? We should not be surprised, because God don't play. If this was back in the Old Testament, they probably would have all died like immediately. He would have been like, you know what? I'm sick of you. Go.
There's some Bible references about things like that happening in the spirit. But yeah.
And for visions, I do have a Bible verse in Joel chapter 2:28. And it shall come to pass afterwards that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and daughters shall prophesy, and your old men shall dream dreams, your young men shall see visions. And so if you are a person that this has never happened to you, and this recently just started happening, all of a sudden you just get these pictures in your mind, or something happens where you're transported somewhere, but you are clearly somewhere and you are awake, that's what's happening. And if you haven't tried Jesus, I suggest you go to them. Go to him and ask him, Lord, I just heard from Janice on YouTube about Joel 2, verse 28, about dreaming dreams and visions. What can you show me? He will. I've always, every single person I've ever spoken to, and I've told them, why don't you test him? Now, you shouldn't test him in any other way, but this way you should. But I have told people and challenged them, test God, test him, talk to him. He's there, he's real. And the thing is, like, nobody wants to. I think it's because they know. Because they know he's real.
That's deep. That's deep stuff.
All right, so just for ending with that, I'm excited about what God is going to be doing. Or, I mean, honestly, like, he's already doing it, right? There was another Bible verse that I wanted to bring up, which is also for those who feel like maybe they're afraid. And the book of Revelation, it was really scary for me to start even reading it, because it is, to me, I thought it was very scary, because it's something that's coming, and it's like, they're talking about like dragons and things coming. Like, it's just, it's to me, it was scary. And if you feel like you are afraid, or if you're like, oh, I don't know if I could do that, or if I could read the Bible, I feel like it's just more looming, whatever. I do have a Bible verse for you. I read this in Bible study at church, ICDP, my church. Philippians 4, and I'm going to read verse 6. Don't worry about anything.
All right.
This is the CSB version. Do not worry about anything, but in everything, through prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. You could just go to him and don't worry about anything, because he's always on your side anyways. He's always going to, especially if you're on his side, he's going to have your back. And even if he's not, like he did with you, he's going to come get you somehow. Anyways, that's all I have for today. And I'm glad that God took you out, sis.
It's been a road. It's been a road to travel. Sure.
Now she's here with us.
Yeah, there are many more testimonies to talk about. Lots of other topics and things that, yeah, as God lays them on our hearts. And of course, your feedback, comments, questions, that's welcome. Might help guide the direction here. So, yeah, we thank you for being here tonight, today, wherever you are in the world. So,
And we hope to see you in the next episode.
yes.
Bye.
Bye for now. Bye.